So why did Annalise's first CD release come out on a label called Out of Order Records and not Boss Tuneage? Stay tuned and I'll tell you the whole story. So, if you've seen some of the other videos on this channel, you'll know that by 1994, Boss Tuneage was in a bit of a bleak place. Late in 1994, I started working at Earache Records as production manager, having done a 6-week work placement. They offered me a job when I graduated, which I went for because money was tight at the time. But the problem with the job at Earache was that it was made quite clear to me that I couldn't run my own record label. They wanted me to focus completely on Earache and not be distracted or doing anything that wasn't Earache related, which made doing a label quite hard. Now, coupled this with, obviously, if you've seen the Goober Patrol video where my parents' van had got burnt out keeping the record of everyone who owed us stuff on sale or return, and that had got lost, so I didn't know who owed me for the stock either. And then the nail in the coffin in, I think, either late 94 or beginning of 1995 is SRD contacted me. Now, obviously, I hadn't released anything new for about 6 months at this point. And they contacted me to say they were having a consolidation of their labels and they decided they no longer wished to carry Boss Tuneage releases through SRD. So could they send me all the stock back? So that was a bit of a shock because, you know, I really was trying to build on the SRD thing, but then, you know, it was just, there was nothing new coming out and my hands were tied. So they wanted to offload the stock basically and stuff. So I thought, well, I've got to find a new distributor for the stock that is there, because otherwise how am I going to sell this stuff? So obviously, I think I mentioned on the Hooten 3 car video, I'd had a brief conversation with Cargo, because unbeknownst, Cargo had been carrying the Hooten 3 car 12-inch to shops at the same time that I'd been carrying it for SRD. So I'd managed to speak to them and I said, look, this is the situation. I want to look for a new distributor for my stock. You know, I know they're older titles, it's mainly back catalogue, so I'm quite prepared to sort of, you know, put the dealer prices down to sell this stuff off and sort of clear the decks. And I think I pushed it a lot on the Asexual 7-inch because I still had copies of that. And obviously Asexuals had their albums on Cargo in Canada. So there was that kind of tenuous link. And I spoke to Darren Crawford at Cargo. He said, yeah, we'll list it, see what happens, you know, say. So I got SRD, I think, to just send lock, stock and barrel all the stock to Cargo that they had. And I remember they didn't do too bad on it. I think they sold quite a bit of it like out on export where it hadn't been sort of really pushed on export and stuff. So it brought in, you know, a couple of £100 or so, I think, from memory at the time. So I thought, oh great, I've got a little pot of cash now, and I've been speaking to Wordbug about their recordings, about doing those, and I was getting really frustrated at Earache that I couldn't do Boss Tuneage, and now I had a little pot that perhaps I could put out another release. So I came up with what Baldrick in Blackadder would call what I thought was a cunning plan. Why don't I start a brand new label? Not Boss Tuneage, just start again from scratch, under the radar of Earache knowing it was happening. The other thing that had also spurred me on to do this was that I'd actually had contact with Yoichi from Snuffy Smile Records in Japan. And we had a couple of letters, remember no email in this day still, so it was airmail letters going backwards and forwards, and I explained that I was going to be doing the new release by Wordbug. He was a fan. And we came up with this idea that maybe I could send him copies that he could sell in Japan, and we do it like a co-release where I co-released this CD single in Japan with Snuffy Smile. And that's why on the Annalise Fettered record you'll see there is actually a thing that says licensed in Japan by Snuffy Smile Records. No copies ever went to Snuffy Smile, and the only reason I can think is that I think I sent a letter to Yoichi and never got a response back. It could well be that the letter never got to Yoichi and he thought that I'd just gone quiet on him. You know, that there was no other way to find out. So anyway, we decided, right, I'm going to set it up. I'm going to get a PO box in Melton Mowbray, because we'd moved out of Leicester and we'd bought our first house, and we were in Leicestershire at this time, in a little village called Long Clawson, where the Stilton cheese is made. And so we thought that. So the nearest PO Box area was Melton Mowbray. So Out of Order Records was actually PO Box 2 in Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire. And so I got in touch with Mike Spencer at Indie Pressing Services. They changed their name by this point to Music Media Manufacturers to get some prices for doing, I think it was 500 CD singles, and we do it with a little J card. So it was just like, it was mid-90s. CD singles were all the rage then, weren't they? So we thought we'd do that, and I think the band Wordbug had recorded like 6 songs with their new guitarist and everything, and we decided we'd put 4 of those on this CD single. And then I remember Ed contacted me and said, well, if you're changing the name of the label, we'll change the name of the band to Annalise. And that's how it became the first. Now, I'll speak about Annalise on another video. This is more about how this whole saga happened. And of course, being a huge Ruts fan, I decided to choose a Ruts song as the name of the new label, hence Out of Order Records. So I did have plans, and so after the Annalise CD single, because of buoyed up thinking we were going to have a Japanese distributor on this as well, and that I got Cargo would be sort of handling the shop distribution, I'd already helped out Stefan over in Belgium to do the Dag Nasty tribute CD, Her Head's on Fire. So I actually organised the CD pressing for them on that, and I was going to carry some copies of that. So I sort of had plans, and then thought maybe I can get this Ran album out eventually, etc, etc. So what happened basically was that because I didn't hear back from Japan, we didn't sell the couple of hundred I thought we were going to Japan for Snuffy Smile, even though their details are on it. So we just had the Cargo sales, and obviously no one knew who Out of Order was, so a lot of people were just thinking, who's this band and who's this label? We didn't really get that much sort of press or anything like that, so it didn't sell particularly well at the time. And because not having the stock going to Japan as well, I remember that when I restarted the label in 1999, at that point, I still had at least 200, if not 300 of these CD singles left. So Out of Order Records ended up being incredibly short-lived, because literally I had one pot of cash, put it into pressing a CD, and then didn't get that money back hardly again. So to all effect, I was back at square one yet again, and also obviously trying to do it all under the radar, outside of working hours and at weekends, was not ideal. It kind of just fizzled out naturally, because I couldn't really plan to do anything. The things that I wanted to do, I couldn't do. There was no point contacting any new bands to do that. And to be brutally honest, I was really deflated by this time, and I kind of thought, this is just, I keep trying and nothing's working. How on earth am I ever going to get this label doing what I want it to do? So it just all got too hard, and obviously working, I think I said on the shutdown video, working in my day job at Earache, I was losing my love of music. I just found it a really sort of soul-destroying place to work, and I was not in a happy place, and I think the focus then became sort of like in late 95 and into 1996 that I wanted to kind of get out of working at Earache and find a new job. So I think, as much as I was really hoping that this was going to be the start of something new again, I was just incredibly frustrated. It just didn't seem to be happening, and I started to have my own doubts whether actually I was cut out to run a record label anyway. It was against everything that I was trying to do at the time, everything that I was fighting at the time. It just seemed like, it shouldn't be this difficult, and and I just remember sort of perhaps it is time to throw the towel in. And gradually, once I moved to London, as my love of music came back, that's how certain things led to certain other things happening, which led to Boss Tuneage restarting again in 1999, but I'll talk about all that on another video.